everyone, I'm Abby Phillip in New York. It should be no surprise that the nation is debating an alleged war crime by the Trump administration. Why? Well, because they telegraphed it. All this week, the administration has shifted its story about that second strike that targeted the survivors of an alleged drug boat. Now, Donald Trump says that he didn't know anything about it, but Pete Hegseth said he didn't order it, and Admiral did. In fact, Hegseth said that he actually left the room before that second strike happened. But despite all of these deflections, the defense secretary approves of the decision. And it's not shocking because this is what he told military leaders 2 months ago.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighting.
It is also worth noting that Hegseth wrote in his book similar themes. He also once defended 2 soldiers who were convicted of war crimes and another who was demoted. Now, by the way, all of this comes as the Pentagon's watchdog finds that his signal chat earlier this year put the lives of troops in danger. And I think that is the big picture here of this moment, which is that Pete Hegseth has signaled for a long time that he's wanted to change these rules of engagement. He has repeatedly downplayed the idea of war crimes, going all the way back to that case involving Eddie Gallagher and those other service members who were being investigated for war crimes. And now the administration, I would actually expect that they would own up to this, but they seem to just be changing their story about what exactly happened here and who was responsible for it, how.
Well, you know, the Democrats, we already know they have Trump derangement syndrome. We didn't know they had another one, it was just Hegseth derangement syndrome, because every time something they don't like happens, they come out and say he should resign, he should be fired. Look, we're taking out drug boats, right? They've done, I think, they killed 87 people doing this. Obama did hundreds, if not thousands, of bomb attacks all around the world in different countries on land, killing civilians at the time. Now again, he was going after named terrorists, which is what we're doing there. It's Trinidad de Agua is who we're going after. They're a named terrorist group. Yes, those are the Venezuelan gangs.
Are you sure about that?
Those are the Venezuelan gangs that run the drugs.
I don't know how the administration hasn't said that.
There was an outrage when Obama was doing this all over the world. Hundreds of times.
There was outrage, as I've pointed out many times on this show. But the question is, the question I asked you was, if they want to change the rules of engagement and make it so that these types of attacks are allowed, why not just own up to it? Why are they changing their story constantly about what happened here?
Well, I don't think that people knew exactly what had happened because they weren't there on the ground.
They've had the video for months.
President Trump wasn't there. He wasn't there when this happened. Hegseth said he wasn't in the room when they made the decision. But by the way, they hit the boat the first time. They obviously trying to kill the people on the boat. That's the whole purpose of bombing.
A few things. First of all, it's not Hegseth derangement syndrome to say that a former Fox News host shouldn't be leading the most powerful military in the world. Secondly, Obama had an authorized use of military force over a lot of these post-9/11 airspaces. He could do these strikes. But thirdly, finally, the Coast Guard has admitted they interdicted 212 boats since 2024 with no violence, nothing happening. And basically, 1 in 4 of those boats, 25% of those boats, had no drugs on them. So I want to ask you, would you be okay striking boats if there's a 1 in 4 chance that there's no drugs on the boat, according to the Coast Guard?
We have 60,000 Americans dying.
Do you want to answer my question?
No, I'm going to give you some facts.
No, you should answer my
You
question.
said there's no danger. We have 5,000 Americans dying.
Wait, I didn't say there's no danger.
We have 5,000 Americans dying a month. We've killed 87 of them.
You know what's interesting?
If
Donald Trump cared about
drugs, why are you upset about it?
I'm not upset. I'm upset that Donald Trump claims to care about drugs, yet he pardoned the former Honduran president. And I have to sit across from you that claims Trump is doing this to take care and save Americans. When I ask you a question, I want you to answer. If there's a 25% chance that there's no drugs on one of these boats, are you okay with striking them?
Who said there's a 25%?
The Coast Guard.
That's at our border.
No, the Coast Guard.
That's at our border.
The Coast Guard.
That's not off the border of Venezuela. That's not off the border of Venezuela. We don't have the Coast Guard off the border of Venezuela.
Rand Paul subpoenaed the Coast Guard because they operate in the ocean.
They don't operate off the coast of Venezuela.
But they do operate in a space where these alleged drugs would be coming to the United States, which is actually not necessarily the case off the coast of Venezuela. We don't actually know whether this boat was coming to the United States. But let me get back to this idea of the idea of Pete Hegseth and his I don't know, allergy to JAG officers. He wrote this in his book. That this was an instance where he got a briefing from a JAG officer about rules of engagement. He said, after this briefing, I pulled my platoon together, huddling amid their confusion to tell them, I will not allow that nonsense to filter into your brains. Men, if you see an enemy who you believe is a threat, you engage and destroy the threat. That's a bullshit rule that's going to get people killed. And I will have your back, just like our commanders. We are coming home. The enemy will not.
Well, this is why I don't blame anybody who actually bought into the salacious, really explosive notions that were bandied about by the Washington Post. The notion that there was this no quarter order that was given that would really reflect poorly on the Pentagon and open the Secretary of Defense and his subordinates up to prosecution. Those began to fall apart over the course of this week, in part because we had an act of Congress for the first time in a long time that sought actual information to clarify some of this stuff. We found out that despite Pete Hegseth's allergy, as you say, to JAG officers, they were there. They were providing real-time legal guidance. There's apparently this, as the Secretary said, he had subordinated this to the Admiral who executed Congress for the first time in a long time that sought actual information to clarify some of this stuff. We found out that despite Pete Hegseth's allergy, as you say, to JAG officers, they were there. They were providing real-time legal guidance. There's apparently this, as the Secretary said, he had subordinated this to the Admiral who executed Congress for the first time in a long time that sought actual information to clarify some of this stuff. We found out that despite Pete Hegseth's allergy, as